Hey guys, I'm David from VBA Academy. Today we're at Token 2049 in Singapore, and we have a very special guest today for our Futurecast podcast series, Alex Skidanov. Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you co-founded Near, and maybe a little bit about your background and what you're currently doing at Near AI. But don't get too detailed with what you're doing because we're going to get into the other questions right after.
Sounds great. My career started in 2009. I was at Microsoft. Not for long. Microsoft was not a place for very fast growth. So I left in 2021 and I came to a company called MemSQL where I was the first employee. And so that was a very nice environment where you grow very fast. We were building like crazy, not sleeping, drinking Red Bull. I spent there 5.5 years, which was a little more than I should have. When I left, it was, it had 150 employees and it was a little more bureaucratic. And then I started exploring the startup space to see if I can start something myself. And this is how I met Ilya, my co-founder, one of the creators of Transformers, a complete legend in the AI space. And back then in 2016, I was very briefly at OpenAI. And then while there, that's when we met with Ilya. We applied to Y Combinator. We got accepted into Y Combinator. We started what eventually would become Near.
Awesome.
And Near started as an AI company. We were building what we call an AI developer.
Right.
That was a little bit ambitious back in 2017. We pivoted into blockchain. I think by now Near is a pretty well-known blockchain. We launched in 2020. And then from 2021, I was primarily working again on artificial intelligence. I was working a lot on data annotations, foundational models. And then earlier this year, we started Near AI with Ilya to advance frontiers of user-owned AI.
Awesome. So yeah, we see a lot of conversation and talks at the main event, as well as a lot of side events here in Singapore on crypto, AI, X blockchain. So we hear a lot of conversation on decentralized compute, data contribution, inferences, even some marketplaces for AI agents and even data sets. So from your perspective and opinion, where do you see these two technology really complement each other? And what are you most excited about the intersection of AI and blockchain?
Right. So in terms of applications of AI and blockchain, I think that has been, I don't follow that area very closely. I think it's been quite a bit of success in using it to do research, sentiment analysis of what's happening on Twitter or like Reddit to make decisions or like to make better decisions in the space. When it comes to blockchain enabling AI, if you think of user-owned AI, generally, if you think of any aspect of what you mentioned, right, decentralized compute, decentralized data marketplaces, data monetization networks, agent marketplaces, etc. If you go to the whiteboard and try to design any of them, you will very quickly realize that you cannot do it without having a blockchain as the core component.
Right.
So the blockchain is absolutely necessary for any decentralized aspect of the user-owned AI. And so that's one of the big investments we're making right now is into establishing Near as the place where all of those systems are find home.
Right.
And to make Near to be the primary infrastructure for decentralized artificial intelligence.
Awesome. So actually yesterday when I was at, maybe it could have been the first day, I saw your panel. It mentions that previously you also have a little bit of working experience at OpenAI. I think it's very rare to see somebody that has that kind of background, both in, places like OpenAI or Google Gemini, and then as well as Near, who's also doing that kind of intersection between blockchain and AI. So given your experience in both kind of environment, how do you compare the benefits and maybe drawback for OpenAI models as well as closed AI models?
Yeah. So you mentioned it's rare to find people like that. When it comes to being, a successful AI researcher and then being in crypto, Ilya, my co-founder, is a much higher level person because he's literally one of the people who created Transformers, right? So he is as as big of a name as it could possibly get in the space today. I was at OpenAI twice, but both times very briefly, right? So I don't want to overstate my involvement with the company. I was there in 2016 for a month. I left because we got accepted to Y Combinator. And then I joined it again in 2022 after Near was launched, right? After that is very recent. It was right before ChatGPT, right before GPT-4, because My thinking was, hey, OpenAI had been silent for 2 years. What are they doing? Have they reached the singularity? If they have, I need to be there. I want to be part of it. But again, OpenAI internally is an extremely inspiring place. You are surrounded by the smartest people on the planet, and just the pace of development there, the level of sophistication of conversations that happen at like a water cooler inspire you. So again, after 4 months there, I was inspired again to jump on the next adventure.
Right.
And I started a company that then became Near AI, and got merged back into Near from into Near ecosystem. And generally, I would say OpenAI, definitely without OpenAI, this current evolution would not have happened, right? Even though it was Google, it was Ilya and his team who came up with the transformers. It's one thing to come up with the research idea. It's another thing to productize it. And OpenAI definitely, first of all, believed in scaling transformers, right? I don't think many entities or people believed in it. But second of all, they executed, right? You need to secure resources to build those clusters. You need to bring the best people, right? So I think from this perspective, OpenAI is definitely a very big part of this revolution. But at the same time, obviously now, as any corporation, even though they started as a nonprofit, it's a profit-seeking entity, right? It has investors. Investors want money, right? So they obviously, naturally, they will be moving towards, I think it will be a walled garden, right? They will be moving towards getting more user data. They will be moving towards more and more monetizing that user data. You don't want to be in the world again where a core technology is owned by very few entities, right? So we already got there with the phones, where effectively we're stuck with Apple and Google. We got there with social networks where you're either completely outside of what happens, or you effectively give all your data to Facebook and Elon, right? So, so from this perspective, I think we definitely need to have an effort that goes against those centralized entities and builds competitive tier 1 artificial intelligence outside of big corporations and owned by users and built for users.
I think for a lot of people, they may not have that kind of rich background or context into why that could be such a problem. Maybe you could shed a little bit of light more into why certain, let's say in a situation where AI is monopolized, or it's just one or two companies, what is the potential danger of that? And into the future, why should we have something a little bit more decentralized for that?
Right. So I want to, interestingly, we don't need to hypothesize here, right? Because this is what happens today in many aspects, right? So imagine, let's take YouTube as an example. YouTube completely monopolized video distribution, right? If today you want to be an influencer and your primary media of creating content is video, effectively you have to be on YouTube, right? And many people do not find that big of a problem with that. They on YouTube, they are successful. However, there are two issues. Issue number one is that the moment Google suspends you for any reason, there is no arbitration, right? So Google has full control over who is on the platform, who is not, right? And because if you're an influencer, that's your life. That's the thing you do for a living. Google suspends you, your life shutters, right? And that's fully in control of an entity that is not even regulated in this manner, right? And the second problem is that Google accumulates all the data in the world, right? Content creators create value, but only Google gets to benefit from this value, right? Google gets to train. Now that I think next year probably there's going to be a huge uptick of video generation models. Google is in a unique position where they captured all the videos that were created, right? In the past years, and only they will benefit it, right? They will fully capture the value. So what you don't want that to happen. Ideally, the world in which the primary video distribution network was open source would have been a much better world, right? As a content creator, you will have a peace of mind. You would know that the system is built by humans for humans. No, single entity would be able to remove you. Similar to how, if you use Bitcoin, you know that nobody ever, no government, no group of governments, no entity, no company can do anything with your assets, right? And secondly, all the data would either belong to the users, right, or be publicly available to everyone, depending on the setup, but it would not be benefiting a single entity in the whole world, right? And we want exactly the same to be happening to AI, right? We don't want a very small number of, we don't want a small oligopoly to control it.
Got it. So let's shift the conversation a little bit to what I think is what your central theme is right now on user-owned AI, or maybe even AGI. More specifically on your website, we see near AI master plan. You kind of mentioned a little bit about what you guys wanted to do initially in 2017 with AI developers, but now the conversation is, I guess, coming back. So we see open source, user-owned AGI, and then also, once again, AI developers, AI researcher working together towards that goal. So there's a lot of complexity in that. So maybe could you help us break it down into pieces that's a little bit easier to understand your grand vision?
So first, let me generally look at AI from perspective through the lens of near vision. Near vision, if you go to our website, right, the first thing you will see is we want to give people control over their data, assets, and power of governance. And we discussed with you, right, that the way artificial intelligence is moving forward right now is towards the world where users do not have control over their assets, right? So user-owned AI generally fits very well into the primary focus of NEAR, right? It's part of our mission. The master plan you described is something that we believe is the way it will unfold in general, whether we build it or anyone else. I think you can think of AI developer as generally a model that is capable of applying existing knowledge of humanity to various problems, right? We think of it more as from development perspective because generally AI development generally captures a lot of value creation, a lot of building of the systems of the world. So AI developer is a good umbrella term for the moment when AI is fully capable of applying existing knowledge of humanity, right? And then AI researcher is the way we look at the next step where AI is now capable of creating new knowledge, right? And I like think of it from perspective of in order to push the boundaries, right? No matter how well AI is doing what we already know how to do, it's not, it's just automating humans, but not really pushing the world forward. So AI research is the way to push it forward, and then AGI will follow, right? Once AI is capable of creating new knowledge, AGI will follow. And we want to, the goal is to make it all in such a way that at no point that humans are people who benefit from it, and the humans are, those humans who participate in creation of it are rewarded for participating in it, right? Those humans who, if your data is used for that, you're rewarded. If you participate in any other way, you're rewarded. And at the end of the day, when AGI is deployed, when it exists in the world, that it's humans who benefit from its deployment.
What do you think are some of the biggest challenges for us to kind of realize or fully see this playing out? You mentioned, is there any kind of projects that's right now within NEAR's ecosystem that's kind of like taking the baby steps for us to fully see it?
Yes, it's a good question. So I think it breaks. There are two areas. Let's think of it like shorter term and longer term. So shorter term, things like decentralized storage, decentralized inference, decentralized agent marketplaces, etc. This is all fully possible to build today, and we have many ecosystem projects working on each of those areas. And I think very, very soon we will have, we're working actively in integrating them all into a single place where, you come there and you have access to all of those resources. So all of that is happening, and all of that will be, absolutely necessary in building generally. Like if you want to be conducting AI research, if you want to be building AI applications, AI systems, you do need storage, you do need inference, you do need agents, you do need data. Longer term, there are several things where I think it would be harder for them to come from the ecosystem, though I would love to see ecosystem projects doing that. One is foundational models. Foundational models are extremely expensive to train. They cost hundreds of millions to train, and they're getting bigger and bigger, right? And we do need, for user-owned AI to happen, we need some way of ensuring that open source models continue being competitive with proprietary. So this is something I think that will have to be coming from NEAR itself, from NEAR ecosystem itself, because NEAR has resources, NEAR has names, NEAR has this ability to, build those complex systems. And I think that's a big effort that probably NEAR will have to spearhead itself. And then the second is you do need to orchestrate, in order to push the boundaries, all the latest research, like for example, GPT-401,
right?
That is built on top of novel research, which is not known outside of OpenAI. And OpenAI has the best and absolutely brightest talent. For open source AI to be competitive, we need to attract similar talent into the open source world and that would require those people having access to money, to resources, to compute, to data, and we need to build that infrastructure and ecosystem where researchers can come and get access to those resources. Again, I think that is maybe more likely to be something that an ecosystem project can achieve. But if not, that would be something that Near has to build or like cultivate internally and build it for the benefit.
Awesome. So going back to a little bit more of your profile, actually. So you've built Mem SQL, now single store, co-founded Near Protocol, and now you're working on a lot about user-owned AGI. So how do you manage to excel across such complex, high-stakes domains? And is there any advice you have for a lot of founders that are also trying to tackle similarly challenging projects, or maybe even taking part in your grander mission?
Right. In late 2018, I went to a hackathon. I participated with Fats and Fear, who was extremely influential at the moment, right? And not only it helped him to win those hackathons, I think he might have won them without me anyway, but that was very productive partnership. But also, I got to to enjoy effectively, he would give me a shout out to his huge community, right? And then people would say, "Oh, that guy looks smart. Let's go there," right? So it's like non-textbook things, right? Instead of just like doing like regular content, etc. You really need to be unconventional. And so if you're early on building a company, like you really need to think, what is it that nobody's doing that could, that I'm very good at, that could generate, this attention. And I think the second thing is generally, that is advice that is applicable to absolutely everything in life. You can achieve way more and do way more when you chill, right? So yeah, don't stress out and be chill. And that's like, that's something that I've been leveraging a lot building Near. And I think that helped me, to stay sane.
Right.
And in many cases to make a much better decision than I would make if I was under pressure. Yeah.
On that notion, actually, so you mentioned how, a big part of it was being in the right place, meeting a lot of really interesting people that also help complement areas that you may lack. How do you got up with Elia? How do you meet your team? Where were you in each situation where you're meeting all these other right minds for you to collaborate and build great things together?
Yes. So I think the biggest part of that is that in 2018, you just needed to be in Silicon Valley. I don't know if Silicon Valley is still the same. I think post-pandemic, part of the magic has disappeared. But in 2018, in 2017, if you're in Silicon Valley, this is where the people are, right? So like Ilya, for example, we had a friend in common who was also in Silicon Valley, right? So it's very easy to network, very easy to find people and investors also there. So that's how we found each other, right? It's being in the place where things are happening, right? And I think in terms of AI right now, it's still Silicon Valley, OpenAI, XAI, Anthropic, they're all there. So all the talent is there. For crypto, I think it's slightly different, right? There are hubs, Lisbon, many Asian countries. I think there are places where you need to be if you want to succeed and find those people.
So let's talk a little bit about ideas, right? For a lot of young builders, people that are new into the space, both AI and Web3 now the intersection, can you maybe suggest us a few ideas, 2 or 3 potential ideas that both at the foundational level or application level that you're really excited about, where there's really good opportunities for people to really latch on?
Yes. So instead of giving specific ideas, I want to generally, from foundational perspective, it's generally important to dive deep and understand how artificial intelligence works. Because a couple of years from now, that will be like knowing JavaScript and GitHub, right? You will need to understand what fine-tuning is, what LoRa is, what agent is, etc. Right? So like those will be fundamental. And for anyone who is not familiar with those yet, that's a very good time to start familiarizing yourself. On application level, so an interesting data point, right? We were in Y Combinator with Ilya, and after Y Combinator, one thing you get access to is after every batch, you get access to the companies earlier than investors as an alumni. And I would go through the companies in the recent batches since AI started taking off, and there's no differentiation, right? Like you would see literally 4 to 5 companies in every area within the same batch competing for the same idea. And the thing is that it is definitely the case that artificial intelligence will be transforming almost every area of our life.
Right.
But if your entire company boils down to applying a full day, applying GPT-4 at a particular, for a particular use case, you will be competing against hundreds of people who do exactly the same, right? And so I think the way to succeed in the current market is to find a way. You want to find an application of AI where you have an expertise and you have knowledge, and you can build something that is hard to replicate, that is hard to, without your expertise, without time commitment, hard to build something that will be doing that at the same level, right? And so unless you have an idea of something like that, I think it would be very dangerous and very reckless to pursue any AI idea today, just because there will be so much competition in every single area that, it will be impossible to survive without having a mode.
Got it. So last but not least, to wrap our episode, what are your final take on the future of artificial intelligence, or maybe even AGI? And final remarks for developers, builders, or even other people in other segments of organizations coming into this space?
Yeah. So AI is happening, right? So I think there's no going back now. In the years to come, our lives will be fully transformed. As I said, we all need to get, to understand AI better. We all need to brace ourselves for the new world. I think several things that I think are exciting is hopefully user-owned AI will be happening. We will do everything that is in our power to make sure that it's happening, right? And as developers, as people who care about, especially presumably many people who watch us right now are crypto people who are anarchists in their heart, right? Find ways to contribute to the open web, to user-owned AI, to the world of the future where we're not in the hands of a few companies and governments. Let's see how the future unfolds.
Awesome. I hope you guys learned something new, and we'll see you guys next time.